Welcome back. We're going to continue to talk about business issues on this Monday, from the great resignations, the great reshuffle, to now business leaders' outlook. How are leaders in the business world feeling about 2022? We have some good news on that front. Had an interesting conversation recently all about this. Let's take a look.
U.S. business leaders say they're optimistic for 2022, despite ongoing challenges such as labor shortages, inflation, and supply chain issues. That's according to results of the JPMorgan Chase 2022 Business Leaders Outlook Survey. Joining us now to discuss the results of the survey and business leader sentiment heading into the new year is Jim Glassman, head economist at JPMorgan Chase Commercial Banking. Jim, thanks for joining us today. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
So generally speaking, how are business leaders feeling heading into the new year?
Well, the business leaders that we surveyed are feeling pretty good about things. And they have been really through this whole pandemic era. And I think when you look at how they've been navigating the situation, they've done really quite well. And many of them say their profits, their sales are equal to, if not higher than they were prior to the pandemic. So you can sort of understand the optimism. If you can navigate the landscape we've been in for the last 2 years, no surprise you would be optimistic. So now there's a lot to look forward to because, yeah, there are challenges, but these are the challenges that you tend to see when the economy is doing well. And these are not the things you heard about 2 years ago when we were in the middle of the pandemic.
What are the main trends that the survey found among small and mid-sized business leaders for 2022?
Well, the big issue for most people, and it's not just small and mid-sized businesses, it's everybody really, their business communities having a difficult time finding workers. The pandemic made this issue a little more severe because there were a lot of people who were displaced. Some people dropped out, so there's a lot of help wanted signs. But businesses are struggling to get people, to retain people. The second challenge, supply chain bottlenecks, getting your hands on supplies. And thirdly, the cost pressures. They are trying to figure out how you manage that, and you've got to be careful because some can raise prices, some cannot. You can't, if you're dealing with cost increases that you can't pass on in higher prices, you're going to have to do something to figure out how to get around it. So big challenges, but the kind of challenges that are happy challenges because they are confirming the optimism. These are only the kinds of things that you would see if the economy is doing well. In my mind, they kind of represent hurdles, not potholes. So they are things that if you resolve them, if you can figure out how to deal with it, there's a lot of opportunity on the other side. They're not the kind of things that are going to sink your business and put you out of business. And we don't find in the survey, we don't find people worried about going out of business.
You know, you mentioned these top challenges that businesses are facing, but how can you prepare to address challenges, and what can they do right now?
Well, some of them you just got to give it time. This whole event has been very unprecedented because consumers got a lot of help, and so they were able to get back. When restrictions were lifted, they were able to shop online and get back to life. Business community is taking a little longer because supply chains are all over the world. Everyone's been living with just-in-time kind of inventories. So when you have a big dislocation like this that's touching everybody around the world, no surprise, things are out of kilter. So, but time will resolve that because prices are creating big incentives to try to figure things out. The bigger challenges are going to take some time. They may be with us for a while. Finding workers is going to be a little more challenging because that's a challenge that has been brewing for some time. It's reflecting the demographics in America. So businesses, the way they're responding is raise pay, boost benefits, give workers more flexible work options. The pandemic era is teaching us that we can work remotely in some cases, and in-house training programs for people who want to migrate to a better paying, better skill, different skill job. Those are all kind of things that the business community will figure out in time. And I think, to me, when there's a challenge, we sit around and we wonder how that's going to happen. It won't be long before we'll look back and realize well, that's how you did it. So businesses are not sitting around worrying about it. They're actually working on it. And that's the key thing to remember. That when you and I are talking about it, somebody out there is trying to figure out how to manage this thing. And I think in coming months, as the year progresses, we're going to see a lot of these issues kind of settle down.
And were there other key themes that were uncovered in this survey, especially when it comes to business leader sentiment?
You know, I think the thing that's really kind of driving a lot of the sentiment is that the business leaders have learned, you know, in the middle of a crisis, you have to change, you have to be more flexible. You have to figure out how to take advantage of innovation that's been brewing for a long time. And I think the thing that's kind of behind the optimism and why the business community has been able to navigate so well is they're learning how to adopt the technology. It's making them more efficient, releasing more resources for them to deploy where they need to. And I think, you know, I think the legacy of the pandemic is going to be the benefit we got by having to learn how to do things. It made us more efficient. And when businesses are more efficient, workers benefit, businesses benefit.
And what advice do you have for business leaders, especially in these first few months of 2022?
I think the advice that comes out of these surveys is that it's think about the long term, look past a lot of the uncertainty around the coronavirus, because we've been doing a pretty good job navigating over the past year. And I think it's time to think about longer term growth trends, and that's what folks are telling you. And if you go to our website, you'll see a lot more of this kind of theme showing up. JPMorgan.com/business leaders outlook. You'll see a lot of focus on capital investment and financing needs and things that you do when you're expecting the economy to do better.
Well, thank you so much, Jim Glassman, for joining us today. Really appreciate this important information, especially for business leaders heading into 2022. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Have a good day.